I'm Roman Yossi of the Nashville Predators.
I'm Matt Duchesne of the Nashville Predators.
I'm Justus Aros of the Nashville Predators.
I'm Ryan Johansson of the Nashville Predators.
You're listening to the Renegades of Puck
with Crazy Charlie.
Welcome to the bunker. Welcome to the Renegades of Puck podcast. I'm your host and Captain Crazy Charlie Saunier. And before we get to the No Half Step in Hockey coverage, let me direct you to our home website, renegadesofpuck.com. Once you get there, you can learn everything you need to know about the show. And once you're good and educated about the show, click on that merchandise tab. That's going to take you directly to our original classic logo tee, our Pride logo t-shirt, and our special event t-shirts. So, of course, all the gimmicks you've come to know and love from the Renegades of Puck are still in our store. Socks, throw pillows, wall art, bed sets, no matter what it is, the Renegades of Puck have been willing to slap their logo on it. Easier said, we've sold out so that you can buy in. Stick taps love and respect to anyone who's picked up some Renegades of Puck merchandise. Social media is of critical importance to this independent hockey operation, so listen up. You can help us out. Doesn't take you but a second, doesn't cost you a penny. Social media, give us a like, give us a follow, give us a subscription. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. You can find us on all of those social media platforms. You can also find Renegades of Puck TV on YouTube. You can find our behind-the-scenes live stream on Twitch, and you can find the audio podcast on numerous platforms. Google, Stitcher, Spotify, just a couple of those names right there. You can just search Renegades of Puck on your preferred platform. Please give us some support on any or all of those different options. Venmo, that's how you can support the show by becoming a sponsor or just making a generous donation. Thanks to generous Renegades just like you out there, we've been able to make significant upgrades here to the bunker throughout our second season of operations, so it has been incredible. Thank you so much. Every dollar goes to helping upgrade the Renegades of Puck and helps us with our future plans. We sure do appreciate each and every one of you out there. Stick taps, love, and respect again to anybody who's been willing to support this independent hockey operation. Now, I know it's time for the goods. So let's get to the No Half Step in Hockey coverage. It's time for episode number 713. That's right, Operation 713 for the Renegades of Puck. And on this day in hockey history, I'm going to let Jon Burton do the heavy lifting. That's right. I was a guest in studio on News Channel 5 Plus. News Channel 5, your news leader, the number one station here in the market in Nashville, Tennessee. I went in studio for a full hour with Jon Burton. I talked Nashville Predators. I talked Nashville Spartans. I talked about everything related to the glorious game of hockey. And here is my appearance with Jon Burton. Video is courtesy of News Channel 5 Plus. I want to thank everybody over there behind the scenes with the crew and everybody in the News Channel 5 family for making me feel so welcome at home. Here is my incredible conversation on a wide range of topics with Jon Burton.
Good evening, Nashville. Welcome to Sportsline here on News Channel 5 Plus, the Wednesday extravaganza. We have a lot to get into. An exciting finish at Memorial Gym that we're going to talk about in just a second in the Tennessee-Vanderbilt game. But we're going to talk about hockey tonight. And yeah, we'll touch on the Nashville Predators, but also the sport of hockey here in Nashville and the state of Tennessee. And my guest is really an individual that has helped raise the profile of the sport of hockey here. He's done it for many years. He's my former producer at WNSR, Nashville Sports Radio, now doing great things on his own with the Renegades of Puck, his podcast, all his endeavors. We return. We say hello again in our News Channel 5 Plus studios to the legendary Crazy Charlie Saunier from the Renegades of Puck.
Jon
Brother,
Burton.
It is so good to see you, man.
Meme that right there, man. When them hands come together.
How are you, brother? I miss you, man.
Better, man. Being in your house, being in the house of Miss Yates, Channel 5. You saw me. I was out on the front steps just taking it in, man. An opportunity to come in like this. It doesn't come around for too many people. It doesn't come around too often. So I'm going to take the opportunity and seize that right here and just say thank you. I appreciate you having me in, man. And when it comes to the sport of hockey, the growth of the sport of hockey, it's my life's work.
Listen,
it's my passion.
I will say this because there's so many people that, you know, when the Predators got here in the late 90s into the 2000s, there were so many people that took it upon themselves to really educate this region, these sports fans in this area about the sport of hockey and how great it is and how, you know, you should get involved with it vis-a-vis the Predators. And you look at Terry Crisp, you look at Pete Weber, you know, nothing more need be said about those two wonderful gentlemen. And, you know, I've had Justin Bradford on the show, you know, the longtime hockey blogger who's covered the Predators forever. And you're right up there, man. You're right up, you're on that list because you're
doing it a long time.
Your enthusiasm for the sport and your dedication to making Nashville understand it, and B, love it like they do.
Thank you.
I mean, you're right up there with among the best. And I remember our days at WNSR when you were the producer for me and Greg Pogue, and after a Preds game, you were our go-to guy.
Oh, I miss it,
because
man.
you not only talked about the game, but you broke it down. What is, because you play 82 games in the National Hockey League, and we tend to have a bit of a football mentality, right? And it's like, oh, you lose a game in November, oh, the sky's falling, everything, and you're like, no, here's what, here's the deal. Like, your dedication, your preparation, your passion for the sport is second to none. And, I think you deserve a lot of credit for that. So I'm here today as we get started on this show. We're going to have a great hour together. I want to give you your flowers on that, man, because you deserve them.
I think I just got flowers on TV right here. That's it. It might be time to hang it up, hang the skates up after. But John, I can't thank you enough for that. First of all, you've always been very fair to me. You've always been very good to me on the air, and you've always given me plenty of time. I was sitting at a Carolina Hurricanes game, preseason. I'm scouring their little game notes they put out, right? Back page, it says, NHL expansion coming next year. Nashville Predators. I go, what is that? What is the Nashville Predators, and when can I get to Nashville to find out more about it?
Right.
Took me a little bit longer than that, but I had it on my radar immediately, and of course, naive, angry young broadcaster that I was, thought surely nobody out there knows how to talk hockey or talk about the game or talk about the sport or the team. I get here and I find out Pete Weber and Terry Crisp are holding it down. None better on the planet. Just spent some time over at Nash Vegas with them. None better on the planet.
Pete and I go back to the late 90s when I was living and working in Buffalo, and he was the voice, the radio voice of the Buffalo Sabres. I've known Petey forever.
Once I realized those two were here holding it down, they're holding their hockey 101 classes, they're taking care of the broadcasts, everybody's in love with Uncle Pete and Uncle Terry. I just slipped right in behind them with Paul McCann and Slapshot Radio and all the other groups that were coming along. And I've just been plugging along and trying to bring awareness to the NHL level. And then once the Predators had that amazing sellout streak, of course, 2017, all those amazing things, they no longer needed me to bang the drum for them. Sean Henry has a great set of drums. He takes care of it on his own, and the butts were in the seats. The product was on the TV.
He's a drum banger to the highest degree.
So what did I move to? I moved to the college, the high school, the youth, and the rec levels, and that's where we are now, Jon Burton. I have to tell you, this is a hockey hotbed here in Middle Tennessee in Nashville. The more ice rinks that come online, the more teams join, the more people move here just to play the sport. Something that I would have never thought I could say when I first moved here. Nashville and Middle Tennessee is a hockey region. People come here just to play the sports.
Wow.
When there's tournaments held here, people travel from all over North America to play in the Wish Cup over there at Ford Ice Center in Bellevue, Antioch, at Centennial downtown, at the Gary Ford Sacker Ice Arena in Nolensville. I just named 4 ice rinks that are within 15 minutes of downtown Nashville. That's how much it's come along. That's how much it's grown. We're not done, though, John. I'm just getting started. This is just the beginning. This is just that first plateau. Now we take it to the next level beyond this. Now we start our own hockey teams. Now we get more people interested in playing, and we keep going and we keep going until it is as common on your television in this area and it's as common on the radio in this area as any other sport. Now, listen, I know. I understand what that mountain looks like. I know where the Titans sit on the sports pantheon of sports talk in this town. But I started chipping away at it 20 years ago. And here I am on News Channel 5 Plus right now talking to the great Jon Burton about hockey for 60 minutes. The weekend of one particular big game coming up. That, to me, shows tremendous growth in what we have accomplished as a community, bringing the hockey game and elevating it here in Middle Tennessee. I love it. I love it. I dedicate every day to it. I might not be that good at playing it, but I am the best at talking about it, and I am absolutely top-notch at promoting it.
Well, I believe you were the first individual in this market here in Nashville to do a daily hockey radio show. Do I have that correct?
That is correct. As a matter of fact, we broke a lot of ground and a lot of history with that. They said it was a niche show. They said it was, we'll put you on at this time or that time or whenever we can. We came in every day and dug into those trenches. And sometimes after a Pacific Coast game, 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, games wrap up 4:30 in the morning in studio, live on the radio at 5 a.m. to talk about the Nashville Predators, because that's what the team deserved, and that's what this
Not just
market,
the Predators, the entire NHL,
the entire NHL. So having that hyper focus, that every game, it's basically like doing mini podcasts. I am doing an episode of my show about every single game, every nuance. So you don't have to worry about tracking the trends for 5, 8, 12 games. I'll give you period by period, minute by minute, and I'll give it to you every day.
Well, where can people find your work these days?
Renegades of Puck.
Get your plugs in, man. I mean,
you can find us anywhere. Renegades of Puck is the easiest way to do it. Social media, we are on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram. And yes, Jon Burton, I'm even on TikTok now. The audio podcast, anywhere. Just search Renegades of Puck. You can find us on YouTube. Of course, you can find our behind-the-scenes live stream on Twitch. Anywhere that there is a platform that I can register the name Renegades of Puck, I have spent the last 18 months of my life doing so, learning, getting better at it, and promoting it each and every day in every way that I can. That's exactly what I'm doing here with you tonight.
Well, you're doing a phenomenal job, and we love having you here, and you got a great event that you want to tell the people about as well.
Yes, I do. As a matter of fact, a couple of events. We got time for those, right?
We got a whole hour, man.
I want to start, though. This has become my newest and most favorite passion.
Yeah.
The Nashville Spartans.
Okay.
And the Nashville Warriors.
Okay.
Just down the road, John. Let me tell you something. You know, we have Smashville happening right behind us here. You take 4th, it turns into Nolensville Road. You just go down a little bit to that beautiful bed and breakfast scenic community named Nolensville.
Yes.
Gary Force Acura Ice Arena. The Nashville Spartans, the Nashville Warriors. There is prospect junior hockey being played right under your nose in the city.
So future stars of the NHL, perhaps.
The future stars of college hockey, of major junior hockey, and potentially the NHL one day are playing right here in Nashville. Let me just give you one name real quick. Nico Schoner from the Nashville Spartans on the Premier Division team. 46 goals this season, 18 assists, 64 points in just about 38 games played. I call him the most lethal.
Center or winger?
He's a center. I call him the most lethal offensive hands in the entire USPHL. 1-on-4 shorthanded. The last game I called for the Spartans. Blows right through all 4 of them, looking like Connor McDavid. Of course,
I was going to say,
it's a
that's
much
Connor McDavid
younger level,
type stuff.
But when I see something like that from a prospect being played here in the Middle Tennessee area, I mean, I'm calling the game. I'm already enthusiastic enough and excited about it, but I just love it, man. I see it. The Spartans, they got a huge weekend coming up. Spartans Warriors are going to be celebrating. It's the end of the home schedule for the Spartans, their first ever season. USPHL, it's junior hockey being played here in America. The Spartans have 2 divisions. They have the Elite and the Premier. The Premier Division is what gets most of the headlines in the USPHL. But in the Southeast Division right now, the Spartans sitting at 4th place. Playoff cutoff lines coming up. Big weekend coming up out there. Games on Saturday, games on Sunday, and a lot of opportunity for people to come out and check it out. It's another layer of hockey, another layer of sport. And this is a world-class sports and entertainment city.
Oh, we've talked about that many a morning on the radio show.
Not only can they handle it, but it's been great. Cookouts, tailgates.
Nice.
It's hockey.
Family fun.
With that Southern flair, man. I love it.
All right, let's talk about this event here.
Yes, that's it right there. So coming up this weekend, Saturday, down at the Gary Force Acura Ice Arena, that's in Nolensville. It's very easy to find. It's the Warriors are going to be playing the under-11 group at 3:45 on Saturday, and then the Nashville Spartans Elite team at 5:30, and then the Premier Division at 8 o'clock. John, you ever seen a chuck-a-puck before?
I think I have.
Where the fans get the pucks, they get to throw them. To the second intermission of both the Spartans games on Saturday night, we're going to do a chuck-a-puck. We're going to do prizes. We're going to have a cookout. We're going to have a tailgate. We're going to flip this northern game on its head, and we're going to have a southern cookout, and we're going to have a great time. That's just Saturday. On Sunday, the 18th, the Spartans will take on the Junior Canes. The Carolina Junior Canes are going to be in town. I mean, you know, the Junior Rangers are out there. These teams are all out there. They're coming to Nashville. They're getting on their coach buses. They're bringing their families. They're bringing their friends, and they're coming to Nolensville to watch hockey, man. I can't get enough of it. Standing 10 feet up above the rink right there, calling every one of these games. They told me I get the job. Ready for this, JB? They say,
now, who do you broadcast through?
I broadcast through Hockey TV. It's a streaming service. You can look it up online. You can get yourself a subscription service at any point in time. And you can listen to me call games. So they tell me.
That's great.
You're living your dream. Call one game on Saturday, and I get there, and they say, oh, you're also going to call a game on Sunday. Yeah, man. I'm in. That's my life. And then they say, by the way, it's 2 divisions, 2 games on Saturday night, and then 2 games on Sunday morning. I didn't flinch for a second, Jon Burton. I said,
bring it on.
2 games, 4 games, 6 games. Let's do it.
And you'll be home in time to watch the Super Bowl, right?
They call it no half-stepping for a reason, and I sure will.
By the way, we should mention a dramatic finish for Vanderbilt tonight as they beat UT by 1 point. Tyron Lawrence hits a corner 3 at the buzzer. Vols were down 2. At the buzzer, Tyron Lawrence hits the corner 3. Memorial Magic lives on as Vanderbilt gets a huge win over Tennessee. By far the biggest win for head coach Jerry Stackhouse in his 4 years at Vanderbilt. So congratulations to the Commodores. We'll talk a little bit more about that game as we go along. We'll certainly have highlights tonight over on News Channel 5 Sports at around 10:20. But a dramatic win for Jerry Stackhouse and the Vanderbilt Commodores, because you think about where they were last week. They got blown out at Alabama, 101-44, and a lot of people were questioning, you know, you remember the show. You remember our show.
A lot of people have been questioning Stack since day one and about everything.
Yeah.
But he's still here, and he's getting the magic done.
And, you know, and the athletic department has come out and backed him this week, and now what a great way to reward that. You get a must-win over Ole Miss over the weekend, and now you beat your arch rivals. You finally get over against your arch rivals, your in-state rivals. So, you know, if you're a Tennessee fan, you're probably wondering what's going on. They've lost 2 out of their last 3 now, and the one win they had was pretty ugly over the weekend against Auburn. But now you lose on a buzzer beater at Vanderbilt. But just wanted to get that in there. Congratulations to the Vanderbilt Commodores. A huge win. Again, we'll talk more about that. But also we want to talk about the Nashville Predators, obviously, a team that you always have your eyes on. A 5-1 loss last night to the Vegas Golden Knights. And, you know, I was at practice on Sunday when they came back from the All-Star break, and man, they said all the right things, right? This, you know, we got 34 games left. We got to put the hammer down, get in the left lane, and go, because they're in, and a term you like to use a lot, they're in a chase pack for a playoff spot.
Yes, they are.
And, you know, they've got a long playoff streak on the line. And to come out and perform the way they did last night, that raised a few eyebrows. They get the first goal from Matt Duchene, and then they give up 5 unanswered, and now, you know, after 12 days off or whatever it was for the All-Star break, to come out and perform like that on your home ice, not good.
No, it's not good. And they did have a lot of momentum going into the All-Star break. 3 wins over 3 playoff teams, and that was looking good on home ice. The defensive structure of last night's game against Vegas, it just simply was non-existent. To see Roman Josi, who is consistent 80 out of 82 games of the season, to see Roman Josi fall down in the neutral zone, giving up a breakaway, to see Roman Josi on the next goal make a bad decision, giving up a 2-on-1 rush, that's a night that I don't say this very often. Take the tape and throw it in the garbage. Yeah. That's one of those nights. The Preds had absolutely nothing from the start of that game. They only had 7 shots on goal after 50 minutes of regulation hockey. You should be averaging at the very least, 1 shot on goal for every 2 minutes played, which means you should be getting about 10 shots per period, 30 per game. Last night, the Nashville Predators, and stick taps to Jim Diamond for this. Of course, Jim, he always with the big number. 9 was the club record for the least amount of shots on goal, and with 8 minutes to go, the Predators were in threatening range of breaking that record in the worst possible way. Vegas kind of took their foot off the gas the last 6-7 minutes, realizing the game was over. The Preds ended up pounding on a couple of shots there at the very end of the game, but it was not the way you want to come out of the break. It's so funny. Going into the break, Vegas was awful, awful, and the Preds were on top.
They were like winless in their last 6 or something like that.
So of course they come back, and what happens? The script flips on us completely. Here's the bright line, the silver lining. The Preds go into Philly. Never an easy city or an easy building to play in, but Philly is basically done for the year. They're a 7th place team. They come back home. They have Arizona, a 7th place team. So they have some teams below them. Now, there's not a lot of teams below the Preds in the standings at 5th place in the Central, but they do have some opportunities. They have 3 games against Arizona left this season. They have 2 against Chicago. Those are the bottom 2 teams in the division. That's 10 potential points just sitting there waiting to be collected. Now, the Preds have had difficulties with Montreal, with Ottawa, and even Chicago sometimes this season. So I can't sit here and stamp 10 for 10 and say they're going to win all 5 of those games against teams below them in the Central Division. But it's the silver lining I look up to say there are teams they can beat. There are other teams on their schedule that are going to be checking out come trade deadline once they give up their significant assets. So for the Predators, they're only a couple of points. They're 4 points out of an automatic playoff spot. The wild card, we have time still. 33 games to go in the season, but there's only 2 teams ahead of them in the wild card. And I do not believe, everyone keeps talking about how either Colorado or St. Louis, just because they've won in the past doesn't mean they're going to suddenly take off with 25 games to go and go on a 24-1 streak. The Nashville Predators also have won in the past, a President's Trophy, a couple of division titles. I'm not going to sit there and use those as examples, though, to say they're going to go on a 33-game run now at the end of this season. So, but the Preds last year, they're only 6 points behind where they were last year. They made a run barely over 500 in the final 34 games of the season, and they got in the playoffs. Sure, we all know what happened.
They weren't there
got
long.
Swept by the Colorado Avalanche, but listen, we used to really appreciate the team making the playoffs in this city.
That's right.
Regardless of the result, it was about put on a full 82, get there and see what happens. This time it didn't work out. But I remember another time when they were an 8 seed that barely squeaked in, and they were 2 games away from having a parade right outside your home office here.
Seems like yesterday. All right, we got a lot to get with Crazy Charlie Saunier. We're going to talk a lot of hockey, but again, if you're just tuning in, Vanderbilt, a dramatic win over Tennessee at Memorial Gym. Tyron Lawrence, a 3-pointer from the corner at the buzzer as Vanderbilt wins by 1 point. We're back with more right here on Sportsline.
Hockey players are as unique as the game itself, and your uniform should be tailored to fit you. Rebirth Sports is your sports apparel tailor. From shells, bags, warm-ups, hats, hoodies, branding, and more, let Rebirth Sports be your custom hockey tailor.
And don't forget to tell them they do more than just hockey.
Rebirth Sports on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Rebirth Sport, a match made in hockey.
Go back to Sportsline here on News Channel 5 Plus. Jon Burton here. Crazy Charlie Saunier right there, my good friend, back with us in our News Channel 5 Plus studios talking all things hockey. Some great events you got coming up this weekend. We're going to touch on it again in just a little bit. I had another Predators question for you because I know you follow this team very, very closely. And, you know, you're one of those guys that I believe has their finger on the pulse of what's going on with this team. Before the break, you talked about, you know, they're in a chase pack to make the playoffs. And, you know, hopefully, if you're a Preds fan, that'll happen. They'll get in. I don't know how far they'll go, but we didn't know how far they'd go, as you mentioned, in 2017, and they got to Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Finals. So anything could happen. You know, they might. I think they have the goaltending in Saros. I mean, he's been red hot lately. But I look at the individual talent on this team. You know, Duchesne had a 40-goal season last year. Philip Forsberg had a 40-goal season last year. Roman Josi, you know,
93 points.
Right, most points for a defenseman in like 20 years or something like that. You know, Vezina Trophy finalist for Saros. Why hasn't this individual, all this individual success meant more team wins? In other words, why is this team every year scrapping to get into the playoffs instead of being at least middle of the pack? I understand, you know, I feel like from a forward position standpoint, they have good talent. They don't have elite talent. You know, these guys aren't Draisaitl and McDavid. These guys aren't the guys on Colorado. You know, they have McKinnon and all those studs. We understand that. But this team should be good enough to be maybe 4th or 5th place in the Western Conference right now. It's just a matter of where they're going to get seated. I don't know John Hines. You know, I've talked to him. I got a lot of respect for him. I don't know anything about him. Is it coaching? Like, where's the disconnect? Because I see all these really top, maybe not top-notch, but solid individual players, but it doesn't seem to be translating into team success. Does that make sense?
It does. And John, last year, let me just go back to that for just 1 second. A Vezina finalist for best goaltender in the NHL, a Norris finalist for best defenseman in the NHL.
Should have won. That was ridiculous that Josi didn't win.
And 2 40-goal scorers after the franchise never had a 40-goal scorer before that, to have 2 suddenly pop up, and yet the team barely squeaked into the last wild card spot. And we know what happened when they faced off against significant competition, the ultimate winner of the Stanley Cup, the Colorado Avalanche. I mean, they didn't have a chance. Having UC Saros, everyone always goes back to that. Yes, he missed the series. Maybe the Predators lose in a gentleman's sweep 4-1 if they have UC Saros, but they're not winning that series last year. So just to recap, it took all of that last year just to barely squeak in. So anything that's not as good as that, and you can't predict 40-goal scorers again, or Now, I do believe
it's like we're Yankee fans, right? We're not expecting Aaron Judge to hit 62 home runs next year.
Not. That just leads.
That'd be great. We'd love it.
Those types of expectations lead you to season-long disappointment. Now, when Matt Duchesne came out for the season, only had 6 goals after 20 games. You can do the math yourself. That's a quarter of the season. He's not going to get to 40 goals this season. Philip Forsberg is not either. Even with that red-hot streak that he had over those 10 games, he's not anywhere near the pace. He's 14 goals behind the pace of last season. So individually, every one of those players came back to where they normally are. Last year was an elevated year for all of the players that you just mentioned. Career years for Forsberg, Duchesne, Josi, and Saros. Now, Saros, again, slow start. Going to get there by the end of the season. The rest of them, Roman Josi's having a very normal Roman Josi season. He's at 42 points right now in 49 games played. That's very, very good for a defenseman, but he's not going to end up with 96 points this year. So the small fallback to these players returning to their more normal stats is why the Predators are behind a little bit more. Now, why have they fallen back? Why are they struggling with these big names, with these big talents? What happened with Eeli Tolvanen? Why is Philip Tomasino in Milwaukee not playing in Nashville after last year?
And plus, I thought, when they traded for Ryan McDonough, I thought he was going to provide a huge boost to this team. Now, I know he's been hurt and he's missed some time.
He's been one of the brighter spots because he was brought in to be a second or third pair defenseman after 10 games. It was not working. The combination with Mattias Ekholm, I don't know what I thought for sure. I was like, wow, Mattias Ekholm, Ryan McDonough. Seemed like a no-brainer. I was with the coaching staff, but after 10 games, I was also with the coaching staff to say, you have to split these two up because for some reason they're not mixing well. Since splitting them up, here's Ryan McDonough. He's at the end of his career. He's had an incredible career.
Man.
New York Rangers, Tampa Bay Lightning, multiple Stanley Cup championships. He comes to Nashville
former captain with the Rangers,
be a mentor to help out, and he finds himself as Roman Yossi's defensive partner, skating 22 to 23 minutes a night, and he's excelling at it. I wonder if he's going to start to break down towards the end of the season, but I don't see any reason to think that he will. But what is the overall issue with this team? The word I want to use is flux. And I don't think a lot of people are talking necessarily about the top of the pyramid down. Everyone wants to talk about what's wrong with the players and what's wrong with the coaching staff. Then, of course, we have a general manager. We have an ownership team.
Right.
John, because you've been covering this story for quite some time, Mr. Haslam is going to be coming in, and he is going to be asserting considerable control over the future of this franchise. Now, I have no idea what his plans are. He's not held a press conference to say, I'm going to do A, B, C, X, Y, Z, and 1, 2, 3. We don't know yet, but I believe there's just enough flux in the concept of new ownership and what may fall out and under new ownership that it is trickling down in the worst possible way. And now it's creating, unfortunately, the worst thing possible, a malaise amongst the fan base. When the fans last night,
there's not a lot of buzz about the Predators.
John, there's one thing I know, and I know well, a Bronx cheer. I've heard a few in my own career. When the Predators got their seventh shot on goal 50 minutes into regulation last night, Bridgestone Arena erupted. Why? Because the fan base has gotten to that point. Their frustrations are now coming out publicly. The sellout streak, sadly, is long in the past now. Right. And there's a lot of trickle-down uncertainty, I believe, coming from the top down. And how is it going to be corrected? How is it going to be fixed? With a clear mission statement from whoever is in charge. Let me give you the example of the clear mission statement. When Tom Sigaran took over the Nashville Predators, he stood up and he said, I never want to hear the phrase 14,000 seats sold again. He said, we're not in this business to sell 14,000 seats. We're in the business to sell out the arena, which at the time was 17,113 people. And his commitment and mission to that, he said, once we start filling the building, we will sign the players, we will spend the money, we will make the trades, and we will compete for the Stanley Cup. What's the piece of the puzzle that's missing right now? Tom Sigaran is long gone, and so are the Nashville Predators. Back-to-back division titles, their President's Trophy, their only appearance in the Stanley Cup Finals, and their extremely successful sellout streak and business side. When you have leadership that communicates clearly the objective and the mission, everyone underneath them knows what they have to do. And I feel right now the Predators are lacking a clear vision and communication. Are they a team that wants to tank for some draft pick? First of all, that doesn't work. It doesn't work for me. I don't know what fan that works for. A team going out there losing night after night after night doesn't.
But should they commit to a rebuild?
Yes.
Because David Poyle, their Hall of Fame GM, a couple years ago said we're going to try to do a competitive retool or a rebuild.
It's a new
you're either and let me know if you agree. You're either going to rebuild or you're not.
Right. This competitive rebuild is a soft.
And I understand. Listen, they want to keep winning. They want to keep making the playoffs because that's great revenue, right? Those home playoff games are phenomenal extra revenue, and and I understand that. But I think at some point you have to be honest with yourself as a franchise and say, you know what, it's time to strip this thing down to the studs and start over. And I get it. The fans aren't going to be happy about it. The hockey fans in this town are used to seeing this team win and make the playoffs and compete. Right?
As a matter of fact, it's gotten to a point where I believe we are spoiled.
Yeah.
Because now a team making a run at a wild card spot is not seen in 2023 in this town
right.
the way it was seen in 2013.
Right.
Now it is, what's the point? Let's just lose and move on and fire the coach and fire the it's that particular part of the mentality did not exist with the hockey fan base here in this city until post 2017.
Sure.
Now what else happened post 2017? Supply, demand. The supply went way down because a lot more people wanted to go see the hottest hockey team in the league. The demand went way up, so now you're investing a lot more every game you go to. When I was a season ticket holder, and yes, I've become quite old now, I was paying $15 per game to sit in Section 303. Find a $15 ticket to go to an NHL game now. And I get it. We were spoiled by low ticket prices because the team was not as competitive as they could have been back in the first decade. But it allowed more people to go. It allowed them to build their fan base. And a lot of that first 15 years plus fan base got priced out of the rink and then never came back. Right now, you need a reset and a rebuild on the whole thing, John.
See, I liken what's going on with the Predators a lot with what's going on with the Titans. The Titans are going to have to make a decision here with the new stadium most likely coming in 26, I believe it is. You know, you want to be up and running and competitive by the time that place opens. I look at where the Titans are, you know, in terms of their quarterback situation, in terms of trading away A.J. Brown last year, new GM here now. You know, a lot of older players that you got to decide whether or not you're going to move on from. Taylor Lewan, Ben Jones. Derrick Henry just turned 29 years old, and you know for an NFL running back, that is kind of up there a little bit.
And I see exactly where you're going. You're going to say next, Duchesne, Johansson, Forsberg. These are all players that are on long-term, high-dollar contract. Now, Philip Forsberg is the best offensive player that the Nashville Predators franchise has
He's
ever
a forever
had.
guy. Him and Yossi are forever guys, right up there with Pecorino.
Correct. Thank you. Let's put that one to the side, because that's what I was getting to, is that those two guys are the guys you rebuild around. Matt Duchesne, I like him as a hockey player. That 40-goal season will never be forgotten last year.
He was amazing last year.
Ryan Johansson, the Predators, as much as people like to dissect number 92's game, the Predators do not make an appearance in the 2017 Stanley Cup Final without Ryan Johansson shutting down Jonathan Taves in the first round and then going on into the second round and the third round before injuring his leg. Now, there's no way to tell, but
I think they win the Cup.
Having Ryan Johansson at 1C over Freddie Gaudreau in the Stanley Cup Final could have been a difference maker. That was Ryan Johansson's finest performance as a Nashville
He was amazing that spring.
Plus, he's had a 50 assist season. Is he underperforming the contract now? Yes. But for a franchise that waited its entire lifespan to have a big body #1 overall center, they got him, and he almost took them to the promised land and almost got them a parade. It was some of the best center play we've ever seen from the Nashville Predators. And people, as quickly as they forget that, just as quickly they forget how big of a positive impact PK Subban was on this Nashville Predators team. Again,
you know, I've been preaching that sermon for a long time.
And I'm going to go up even one more level on this. 2 division titles, 1 President's Trophy, and the only appearance in franchise history in the Stanley Cup Final all came in the 3 seasons that PK Subban was a Nashville Predator.
And I thought he got a lot of unfair heat from a lot of fans.
He did.
Took a lot of blame, unnecessary blame, and I guess he'll be here on Monday night.
It's going to be great.
I
hope he gets the proper ovation.
Yeah, I'm going to be in the building. I already got my tickets because you know that I'm a member of the Predators Guider Initiative for social justice and social equality. I'm honored to be a part of it. We're all going to get together on Monday night, and we're going to have a meet and greet with PK.
It's gonna be great.
I'm going to get a chance to go up to him, look him in the eye, and shake his hand and say, "Hey, man, it was great having you here. I wish you were still here." You know,
John, one last point about PK Subban. All the heat that he took. I talked to his former teammates, not just here in Nashville. It's easy to talk to the guys in Nashville. I talked to the guys that played with him in Montreal. You know what they said about PK Subban? One of the best things he did as a teammate? They said he was the shield against guys like you. Every time there was a controversial call, a bad loss, a tough night, PK Subban stood there as a lightning rod and took all the questions, took all the heat from everybody, absorbed it all, and then smiled and walked off. And none of his other teammates had to face that because his other teammates weren't been equipped to handle that type of pressure in that type of media scenario with the hot lights on. PK took it with a smile, absorbed it all, walked away, and went through the room. He said, "Boys, don't worry. We're all good."
20 hard ones for 20 cold ones, boys. Let's go.
Looking forward to seeing them back here in town.
Yeah, absolutely. And real quick, because we're about to go to break here, the night of Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final, when the Predators lost, the first guy to come out and talk to the media was PK Subban. And so I'm glad he's going to get honored and appreciated on Monday night. And I can't wait to be there.
Full, and I hope the rink is ready to rock.
If you're going Monday, show PK some love. All right,
please.
we're going to take a break. I want to get some Titans thoughts from you, too. We're going to talk a little Super Bowl. Yeah. Let's do it. But plenty of hockey. Crazy Charlie Saunier is here.
That's me.
We're back after this.
Hello, hello, hello. I'm Tracy, owner-operator of Strong Style Fitness. And that's me and my training assistant, Rizzo. And we are here to bring you fitness that meets you where you are by offering circuit classes, bar-inspired classes, Tabata workouts, boot camps, guided stretching, and more, all taught by a certified personal trainer, me. To learn more, go to our website, strongstylefit.com. Subscribe on YouTube at Strong Style Fitness. Follow on social media at Strong Style Fit. But most importantly, let's get you moving. It doesn't matter if it's your first workout or you've been doing it for years. Strong Style Fitness has the workout that meets you on your journey and helps you along the path to a happier, healthier life. I understand where you've been, what you were going through, and where you were going, and I want to take you there. We'll see you on the mat. Mwah.
Back on Sportsline, we are spending an evening with Crazy Charlie Saunier from the Renegades of Puck podcast, and of course, the hockey streaming service. Was it again?
Hockey TV.
Hockey TV.
Hey, you can find me calling Nashville Spartans games in the USPHL. I'll be calling my 27th, 28th, 29th, and 30th games between Saturday night and Sunday morning.
Wow.
It's great, man. They built me, John, check this out, man.
Yeah.
They built me a balcony. I call it the perch because, you know, city pigeons, all that stuff, you know me. So the perch is up about 10 feet in the air, and it hangs out, and it's even with the glass. So as I'm calling a game, John, I'm over the ice. I can literally talk to the officials and ask them about things during the game, and I do. Hey, Stripes, what's that call? Hooking. All right, thank you. So I'm a one-man booth.
Okay.
I got my camera.
Oh, you're
operator.
like Vince Scully.
Please. Thank you. I'll just take it. I'm not going to say a word. I'm just going to say thank you.
Take it and
Having
run,
my
man.
name mentioned with Vince Scully.
Yeah.
But I stand up there and I call the game start to finish. John, I'm so into it. I don't leave my broadcast platform from the minute I walk in till the minute I leave. One of the reasons is I need an extension ladder to get up there, and sometimes they take it away during the games. It is what it is. You know?
Right.
But I have never called a hockey game. I didn't know that actually surprises people until this season with the Nashville Spartans. I used my broadcasting career and I used the awards I have on the shelf that I never talk about to get my foot more than in the door. And I said, I'm your guy. You don't need to talk to anybody. Put me in. And I'm so, John Tuggle over at the Nashville Spartans believed in me enough on that alone. My confidence, no resumes, no demos, no nothing. He said, you're this confident in being able to do this. You're my guy. Get up there.
Right.
I will never come out of that perch. If they leave me up there forever, I'll stay up there forever. 4 games a weekend, 6 games, I don't care. 30 games this year. John, I thought I had a passion for live radio before.
Yeah.
This calling a game thing, man,
What a rush, right?
You get to weave a tale. You get to come up with goal calls. Oh, you want to know what the coolest thing about me being a one-man booth is?
Yeah.
The lights for the goals, everything. The box is behind me up in the perch.
Yeah.
So when the Spartans score a goal, you'll notice it when you watch a game on hockey TV.
Yeah.
Suddenly I disappear for a few seconds after the goal. It's because I'm operating the lights over here. It's, John.
That is great.
I grew up wanting to be in the NHL. I wanted to be a starting goaltender for the New York Rangers. I wanted to be a starting catcher for the New York Yankees.
Sure.
I wanted to be, I don't know why I wanted to be the field goal kicker for the Giants. I don't know. Matt Barr had a big influence on me back in the day. But I dreamed of being at the highest levels and being a part of the pantheon of the top of all of sports. But I'm going to tell you something, John. I think I've discovered something about myself. I don't need the NHL. I don't need the MLB or the NFL. Put me in a rink where I can be a part of it. Put me in a rink where I can call the game, I can talk to the coach, AJ Bennett, the captain of the Spartans. I get a chance to talk to the guy after every game. What are we doing? We're learning how to interview each other.
Right.
He's learning how to do an interview because he's the captain of a hockey team. He's going to have to know how to do that moving forward. I'm going to need to know how to interview the captain because I'm going to be doing it for many years to come. John, being in front of the game, communicating what I see, being, as I like to say, being your witness, your tour guide, your storyteller,
right.
your narrator,
right.
the voice of the Nashville Spartans. It means a lot to me. I think you can tell. You've known me a long time.
I have.
This has brought out my inner Pete Weber. I have a new level of passion for calling games that I never thought would be inside of me. When I graduated from MTSU with a broadcasting degree, everybody put me in the producer's chair. Said, man, you're great with the buttons, man. You know how to turn microphones on and off, and sometimes you can even plug a wire in.
Right.
All right. So,
yeah.
you know, I became a producer for many, many years and very successful at it, award-winning. I wanted to do more. And now I'm doing it. The Renegades of Puck is one thing, and that's my life's work, my life's passion, and my brand. My whole life is built around the Renegades of Puck. RenegadesofPuck.com, thank you. But working for the Spartans, being a part of the USPHL, talking about this youth element, these prospects, John, it brings a whole new level of fire to me. And it's also taught me a really important lesson about broadcasting, and this is it right here. When I would talk about the NHL, I would point out a negative thing. This player is deficient in the following ways.
Right.
What I have learned, though, is when you're talking about young players, when you're talking about prospects, you're putting down the tape that the scout's going to watch, the college coach is going to watch, parents, grandparents, friends. So what I discovered about myself was I have to flip that coin to the other side, and in every play where someone did something negative, well, that means somebody else had to have done something positive to affect that play. I had to relearn how to communicate the game to people in a more positive way. Because the last thing I want, John, a goaltender gets a chance, gets his tape in front of a scout, his scholarship is on the line, and I say something about he's got a shaky glove hand.
Yeah.
Who am I? No, he doesn't have a shaky glove hand. He's working on that glove hand.
Right.
He's been here in practice. He's been out there after games doing drills. You ought to see how much time he's invested putting in on that. There's always something good that can be said, and that has changed not only my broadcasting perspective. Honestly, John, it's flipped my whole personality a little bit. You know me, I'm a street kid from Jersey who grew up fighting at the bus stop. If I saw you wearing the green that's playing this weekend, the blue I was wearing was probably going to have an issue with that, you know, and it was the same for all sports, all seasons. I grew up in a hostile environment on you know, the mean streets of Jersey, and I had to learn how to defend myself. I'm also not the biggest kid in the world, so I had to learn to be a scrapper. My voice and the words I used became my weapon. And what I realized, John, now that I'm calling games, I don't have to weaponize that. What I have to do is become the best communicator that I can be. And after 27.5 years of doing it, to have that moment, that realization, man, it just lit another fire under me. Like, wow, I can do this.
It's amazing. I can feel the passion coming through. And you know, we should also mention that you and I are both former sports entertainers. Professional wrestlers, and you were one of the best. You were a legend.
I wish I was.
In your territory, you were very popular.
I tried.
And I think what you were talking about is like, you know, like you said, instead of putting somebody down, put them over.
Put them up, man.
You know, accentuate the positive.
Right.
Mention the negative, but like you said, hey, he's working on it. But look, but he does this, and this well.
Right.
You know, and it's kind of like, you know, if we're working in the ring together and I'm supposed to win, you're going to put me over. You know, if I hit you with a clothesline, you're going to sell it like I killed you. Right?
John, this is what I want to practice from now on, with myself personally and in my career. I want to throw that stone in the water that makes that first ripple. I want that first ripple to be so positive, so energetic, so full of passion, fire, fury, everything, all the good things that exist in this world. And I want it to ripple out and hit you, and I want it to ripple out and I want it to hit that room and that room. And then I want it to go out to the street, the city, and beyond. There's plenty of things to be positive and thankful and joyous about in this world. Find it. Find what brings out your passion. For me, it is truly hockey. I'm not a good hockey player, John, but I talk about hockey great.
But you get to talk about it, you get to cover it, and you get to play. You get to play a little bit. It's pretty cool.
I get to be around it.
You're living your dream, man.
I am absolutely living my dream. Everything I've ever wanted out of this life, I have right now. And what else does that include? That includes being right here with you on News Channel 5 Plus. There's nowhere else I'd rather be right now than hanging out with you, talking about these things, these concepts, this passion. It goes beyond hockey for me. This is my life. I am a hockey player at heart. That is how I go about it. Knock me down 2 million times and I'm going to keep getting up. Trust me, John, I fail, I learn. I fail,
and that's what it's all about.
And it keeps going and it keeps going until one day I succeed and I can say, I've learned. And then I can move on and start working on the next concept.
Pretty amazing stuff. An inspirational guy, Crazy Charlie Saunier. We're back with more here on Sportsline. Stay with us.
The digital environment can be quite intimidating, time-consuming, and cumbersome, especially with all those other areas that need attention at your business. And that's why Stripe Digital Solutions is here to help. I know because that's exactly what Stripe Digital Solutions did for me and the Renegades of Puck. From designing my home website and helping me create my merchandise to special event posters, brand building, and social media management. But it's not just that, it's so much more. Stripe Digital Solutions has helped me every step of the way. From startup to full-time operation, Stripe Digital Solutions has been there to assist and advise every single step of the journey. In today's fast-paced world, the path to success is having a strong digital partner, and nobody is better in the trenches than Brandy and Stripe Digital Solutions. Get the solution before it's even a problem with Stripe Digital Solutions.
Friendly reminder, you can catch yours truly and Greg Pogue every morning from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. on WNSR Nashville Sports Radio for the Greg Pogue and Jon Burton Show. We talk sports and we have fun with you. That's the Greg Pogue and Jon Burton Show, weekday mornings 9 to 11 on WNSR Nashville Sports Radio. You can visit us at WNSR.com, of course, at 95.9 FM, 560 AM.
My Twitter handle's still the same. You can still follow me at Crazy Charlie 615.
That's right. Oh yeah.
I'm still on the poster. I love it.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That's an old one.
You guys might want to crop that.
Yeah, we will. That's fine. I'm going to be in trouble tomorrow. But anyway, it's great to have you here because that's where we first met when I took over for Joe Dubin and you were the producer and I started working with you and Greg every morning. And I thought the best part about it is the shows we did during the pandemic, how we were able to do an entertaining and informative show with really nothing to talk about.
I'm so glad
that was really the highlight of my day because there was a shutdown, but we still went into the studio every day. We were the only show, and I got to see you guys every day and at least have some social interaction.
Oh, man, it meant the world to me to hang out with you and Greg every day and get to talk to Bill King, of course, who I worked with for a decade. See Jake, see Ted, see Adam, see my radio family. I haven't had a radio family since I left you guys. You know, it's just me now running the Renegades of Puck by myself in a studio. So I'll always miss you guys. I'll always love that place, man. We were talking about it a little bit during the break, John. I think, for me, I love a certain level of creative freedom. I loved it in my pro wrestling career. I loved it in my radio career. I love it now. And WNSR offered me the most creative freedom that anyone has ever offered me on this planet outside of me being in charge of the operation. Those times will always be special. They'll always be some of my favorites, man. Working with you, just making it through that 18-month period when so many other people struggled to get through it. It was great, man. It was fun and it was entertaining. We kept people distracted, and live radio for me is always going to be the pinnacle of my existence. I love it as much as anything. Calling a game, that's live. I love this. I love being live. I love when the red light is on. I love when the pressure's on. It doesn't bother me one bit.
You're a gamer, bro.
I love being in front of the light.
Now I want to ask you about just a little bit about pro wrestling. You probably don't follow it.
Oh, I do though.
Okay. Last year, last summer in particular, was that not maybe the greatest summer of professional wrestling in Nashville's history? You had WWE SummerSlam here. You had Ric Flair's last match here, just across the street over at Municipal Auditorium. NWA was doing some big shows. It was an amazing summer. It was like last summer was the summer of racing and wrestling, right? We had the NASCAR race, we had the SRX race, and then we had those two monumental pro wrestling events.
Well, don't forget, you also had Impact and all the work that they were doing here in town. AEW did have a tour stop through town that did really nice over at Municipal. So last year was a really good year for pro wrestling in this particular area. And listen, for those of you out there, there are independent wrestling promotions all over Tennessee, all over the place. Go out and support them. They don't ask a lot to get in the door. It's usually a $5 or a $10 ticket. And believe me, the same things that entertained you when you were watching pro wrestling, no matter what age you are, no matter what region you lived in,
no matter what era it was,
is pro wrestling, and it's still being performed at a high level out there, and it's being done at independent levels. What's an independent? Anything that's not the WWE, AEW,
Impact, NWA,
But believe me, in your town, in your territory, as we love to say, there's still real pro wrestling out there, man, and you should be engaged with it. You should love it. It's one of the finest and truest art forms that's still out there. It's incredibly difficult to perform. It's incredibly difficult to be a part of in any way. The physical demands, and you can say whatever you want about athlete or not, they're world-class athletes. You look at AJ Styles and you try to tell me he's not a world-class athlete, and I'll show you what a stiff potato looks like.
He's truly phenomenal.
He's truly
We're going to take our final break. We're going to wrap things up with Crazy Charlie Saunier. Stay with us. We're back after this.
I'm Crazy Charlie Saunier, captain of the Renegades of Puck. I'm also tired of the cold, tired of the dark, and tired of being landlocked. I'm also willing to bet that I'm not the only one who could use some sun, fun, and time in paradise with friends. That's exactly why I called our great friend Pete Weber. He told me, call Ships and Trips Travel, and now we're all going to Mexico. That's right, Renegades of Puck, July 15th to the 20th of 2023. Dreams Vallarta Resort in Puerto Vallarta is the destination to hang with Pete Weber in paradise. To join Pete and the Renegades of Puck in Puerto Vallarta, go to www.shipsandtripstravel.com. That's shipsandtripstravel.com, and just click on the ROP on vacation tab. Don't stay landlocked. Join the Renegades of Puck in paradise, July 15th to the 20th, 2023 in Puerto Vallarta. Pete Weber, the Renegades of Puck, and you. It's time to ditch those skates for flip-flops and fun in the sun. I cannot thank Jon Burton enough for allowing me the time to come in studio at such an incredibly historic television station here in the Nashville area, to sit in that studio, to soak it all in. It truly is a very, very great moment for me in my career, and it is the next phase for me and for the Renegades of Puck. I hope to be in that studio a lot more in the coming months and coming years with Jon Burton over at Channel 5. It's an incredible opportunity, and I got to be seen and heard by many more people in my own home region than I normally get to be heard by. So thank you so much, Jon Burton. Stick tap, love, and respect to you. I always appreciate my time getting to be in studio and getting to talk Nashville Predators, Nashville Spartans, and all things Renegades of Puck. Man, that was a blast being in there. And yes, I got all tranced out and cut some good promos. That was a whole lot of fun. Sure to appreciate Jon for having me in studio. That's going to do it for this episode. The Nashville Predators had a little hole in the schedule, so we decided to go ahead and put an episode together based around my appearance on Sportsline, talking more philosophical, more big issues around the Nashville Predators, around the hockey scene here in Middle Tennessee. So again, stick taps, love, and respect to Jon Burton. Stick taps, love, and respect to each and every one of you Renegades of Puck out there. I'm your host and captain, Crazy Charlie Saunier.